There can be no stewardship without stewards. Good morning, Sergeants. I'm Specialist Dunson, and today I will be giving you a brief on what it means to be stewards of the profession. The overall classification for this brief is unclassified. We will be going over what it means to be stewards of the profession and why it is important to set the example of stewardship in our teams. So for the agenda, we will introduce some of the basics or general ideas of being a steward, what a steward is by definition, how we show stewardship in our profession, and our responsibilities as an Army leader. Then we will cover what we learned in the conclusion, and if anyone has questions, they will be answered. Please save your questions for the end of the brief. In this brief, we will cover what a steward is, how to show stewardship, and the responsibilities as an Army leader. Being a steward of the profession entails more than what is given at face value, so that is why we are here diving into it today. There are a lot of characteristics that go into stewardship. I'll be covering ideals shared between not only us soldiers, but also how we can take this definition to mean more in our daily lives. Also, how we can implement these ideals into our leadership practices and take better initiative in showcasing stewardship. So what is a steward? The Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines stewardship as the conducting, supervising, or managing of something, especially the careful and responsible management of something entrusted to one's care. So what we can gather from this is a steward is a caretaker. We take care of the Army profession, preserve the respect it is given, and we provide for our troops. Stewardship of the Army profession is the duty of all U.S. Army leaders who are entrusted by the American public to care for people, resources, and the Army family. As a steward, we must exhibit characteristics of a servant leader. We listen to our superiors and subordinates actively. We show appreciation for the job that someone has completed for us or has achieved for themselves to better our organization. A steward is humble and doesn't boast their accomplishments. They are trustworthy. They value the bond of trust that creates cohesion throughout their team, and they do not abuse it. And stewards are caring. They take care of their soldiers and their needs. So how do we showcase stewardship? Being professional is the first step in being a steward. We achieve this through following AR 670-1. We look the part. We keep our uniforms clean and in regulation. We are not ate up. We correct mistakes of those around us to keep our organization looking professional, which in turn promotes professionalism to those outside of our organization, the American populace. We follow the command policy, AR 600-20, and give the proper respects and courtesies to our officers and senior NCOs, setting the example for our team. We also do this because it's tradition. It's what makes us our Army. It's what signifies us from other armies in the world. It creates a feeling of camaraderie throughout the organization. It improves your morale, and it looks really good to those outside of our organization. Being a steward is a mentality. It's a commitment, an everyday decision, and a commitment to the excellence of our Army. We promote success through stewardship. Stewards are representations of the American soldier in the way they conduct themselves. Confidence is key in the pursuit of being a great steward of the profession. Having confidence mitigates the feeling of unease that some people might have towards our service members and brings morale into our squads. To fully show stewardship, we must be compassionate and understanding. Life happens sometimes, yet we must maintain order. So there's a balance that must be upheld and obtained. We work with our soldiers to accomplish tasks. A steward is not lazy. A steward goes above and beyond their duties when applicable. The way we achieve is to take care of our soldiers. We train our subordinates to live by the Army values, respect those that came before us, and give them the tools to be better leaders than we are now. This also applies outside of work when helping your soldiers through hardships, in turn maintaining mission readiness. Our responsibility as an Army leader: maintain trust within our ranks and in the eyes of the American public. It is our job to understand that our actions or decisions must strengthen the internal bonds of mutual trust to promote cohesive teamwork and mission command. I think we can all agree that once trust is broken, it's extremely hard to get back. If we cannot exemplify mutual trust to the American people, we as stewards of the profession are doing ourselves an injustice. Failure to support the civil trust will prevent us from continuing our mission in the modern era. This being said, our retention rates would go down. Our recruiting rates would go down. If we can't be trusted by the American people, people aren't going to want to be a part of our organization. As NCOs, we have to adopt the terminology backbone of the Army. It's in our creed. It's more than just a saying. It is something to live by because that's what we are what drives the force. Tying into that, we groom our junior enlisted to perform at their best. Individually and actively, we inform our soldiers of the daily mission so they can perform according to standards. Personally, we push our soldiers to achieve and pave the way as an example to the other teams around us. We also maintain more than just a standard, core beliefs and ethics of our Army. We bestow our knowledge on them so they can succeed, because one day they'll fill our combat boots. Maintaining accountability. We gotta keep up with our soldiers, and we gotta keep up with our equipment and properly care for it as well. We are to uphold the Army standards as a leader of soldiers. We must uphold the profession to its fullest extent, or it will fall by the future generations. We will no longer be able to fight and win our nation's wars if we cannot uphold our standards. Especially with the technology we have today, it is easier than ever to find resources to supplement these ideals. With the click of a button, you can find almost any Army publication to keep our organization within its standards. The resources allow us as non-commissioned officers to find answers we need when it comes to being a steward of the profession. So in summary, we went over how a steward is a caretaker, we take care of our soldiers, and we take care of our equipment. The professionalism that goes along with being a steward of the profession and following Army regulations. How being a steward is a mentality and a commitment. Working with your soldiers to accomplish more than just the mission. Maintaining trust in ourselves and the organization. How accountability is a must, and upholding the Army standards to the fullest extent. Do we have any questions? This concludes my presentation.